Live from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world of sports. From college football to NASCAR, we've got you covered. And don't forget to stick around for the world-famous Bet Your Nuts, where we will give you your best bets to make the most money. Now sit back, grab your favorite drink of choice, and join Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, Brandon Chain, and Tom Sloan. It's showtime. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Reckless Speculation College Football Kickoff Show. Tonight, we're going to break down the craziness that happened in South Bend last week between the Buckeyes and the Fighting Irish. Came down to the last second, last snap. Wow, what a game. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the massacre that took place in Oregon between Colorado and the Ducks. Is it time to maybe jump off the Neon Deion hype train? So we're going to talk about that. Ole Miss goes to Alabama. The student cannot upend the teacher. That was a shocking game, so we'll talk about that. And we'll hit on some other topics that took place last week in the world of college football. And as always, we'll break down some of the big games coming up this coming weekend with our bonus Bet Your Nuts. We'll give you our picks. Newsflash, I didn't do so well. The other guys did pretty good. This guy, not so much. So only room for improvement. So don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe all the social media that we have with the Facebook, the TikTok. Go ahead and give us a follow. It really does help us out, gets our reach out there. You know, we want to get this show out to as many people we can because we think we have a good product, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So go give us a follow, and you can always check out some of our previous episodes on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. And of course, we have to talk about our sponsors, as always. Davis, Kessler, and Davis law firm. If you're in the Chattanooga area and basically anywhere in Tennessee, I'm in Michigan. Unfortunately, if I had some law issues to handle, I use Robbie for advice, but unfortunately, he's not licensed in Michigan. But if you are in Tennessee, if Toonces, the driving cat, is in jail and you need to get that cat out, go ahead and call them. They're the best in the business. Absolutely. And can't forget about our other good partner, C&W Construction, flashing their new logo. Here's some recent projects that they just completed. Just amazing work. It speaks for itself. You guys need an outdoor like oasis. That is definitely who you want to call. So we thank them very much for being a part of this show, helping us kind of get the message out there. So last week started a little something new. Fun fact before we get the show going. A fun fact for September 27th. That is today. We're airing 1908, September 27th, 1908. The very first Model T rolled off the assembly line right here in Dearborn, Michigan. Of course, Henry Ford, the grandfather of the assembly line, which has lots of relevance today. Big strike going on not too far from where I am here today, UAW. So hopefully they can get this thing squared away soon, get these guys back to work where they belong. And it is also Chocolate Milk Day. Where else are you going to get that kind of information but right here at Reckless Speculation? Chocolate Milk Day. So go pour yourself a nice cold glass of chocolate milk, but do that after. That's right. After you have a nice Jack single barrel. That's right. This show's always powered by Jack. Whether you like it neat, whether you like it on ice like I do, doesn't matter. As long as you got Jack going, you're going to have a good night. So I'm going to bring in our first member, currently our only member in the green room. Robbie will not be able to make it tonight. He is on vacation. So I pity him. I don't feel sorry for him, but I hope he's having a good night. So we give shout out to Robbie. So we're gonna bring in Brandon. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, buddy?
Uh,
Well done with the intro there and the facts, dropping some knowledge on Chocolate Milk Day.
well, I try to mix it up a little bit, give some people a little bit more than just sports knowledge.
Yeah.
As always, Raj is yet to arrive. We're patiently waiting for his arrival, but that's okay because this topic that we're leading into, this is your wheelhouse, my friend. Huge win for your Buckeyes last week. So far that was the game of the season. They go in, get the win on the last play of the game. Tell me your overall thoughts, what you thought about the game, and the defense really seemed to step it up. They played probably their best game of the season at the right time. So is this
hmm
the type of defense that you as a Buckeye fan were expected to see?
Yeah, I mean, we started slow this season, and there was all kinds of questions on the defensive side, on offensive line, quarterback. It wasn't until the Western Kentucky game last week that McCord actually was officially named the starting quarterback. So I think that took some pressure off of him. Now it was Western Kentucky. Um, it, the offense did look pretty good last week, and that gave a little glimmer of hope that hey, we're heading in the right direction. That to be said, the defense also looked good. Western Kentucky is got a pretty good receiver on their squad, and I think we talked about that last week anyway. And anyway, so yes, overall, Jim Knowles had them ready. Had them ready for this game. I knew it was going to be a ground and pound kind of just old school, Buckeye football, and that's kind of what we saw for the most part. Now, Kyle McCord, on the other hand, just really gave me a lot more hope and showed some really good poise in the face of adversity.
Speaking of Kyle McCord, he got the ball with what was it, a minute to go, give or
Yeah, it's
take.
like a 120 something, I think.
You're talking about a guy that has kind of been scrutinized. He's been under the microscope. And like you said, last week, second half, I think he started to come into his own. So this was probably the biggest pressure situation that he's faced in his young college career. Uh, what does that drive do for somebody's confidence, especially somebody that, coming into the season, was he going to be the starter? Was it going to be Brown? Wasn't sure. Now he's got it. So what can uh, a last second drive, we'll say, for a young quarterback, what can that do for a young kid's confidence moving forward into the season?
Man, everything. This is going to propel him forward for sure. Just seeing that resiliency and knowing that he can do it and knowing he's done it. When you get down, like I said, facing adversity again, uh, know that you can be calm and cool and make the throws that you need to make
Yeah.
and read the defense. I mean, it was incredible. It really was to watch. I was not expecting it. I
No.
was already just pouring myself the last sad drink that we just lost in South Bend, and man, it was electric to watch, and just the offensive line did great. Of course, the receivers are fantastic, and um, Kyle McCord just really showed that he can put this team on his back
Yeah.
when needed, and make those throws. So I was thoroughly impressed. And I had some bad things to say about McCord early on as well, and he's completely put my foot in my mouth.
Well, there was a couple scenes where the camera kind of zoomed right in on him, and he was doing like some like gyrations with his hands, like kind of a focus thing that he was doing. and that kind of impressed me in a sense that the kid knew what it meant, that this, like, okay, let's go. This is, it's time to go. And it seemed to kind of block out all the noise. He was not, affected really at all
Mm-hmm.
with the crowd noise and the moment. And I commend him. Obviously I'm a Michigan fan, so deep down in my heart, I was rooting for a loss, but then again, hey, let's have them
Sure.
be undefeated at the end of November, the big game. But you can't help but I'll give the kid kudos. That it was him, it was on him,
Mm-hmm.
because really the biggest weapon Ohio State has was Marvin Harrison Jr. And maybe there was some questions coming into this game. He had one target in the first half, which I was watching the game with a Buckeye fan, good buddy Drew, and we were just talking about what is going on. Why they weren't even looking his way. He was more of a decoy. So he gets the catch, and then in the second half he gets rolled up on. So that was a kind of a huge moment in that game where you thought, yeah, is this it for Harrison? Is this another Jackson Smith and Jigma situation from last year that he got hurt early on and didn't play the rest of the season? Are you concerned as a Buckeye fan that the perceived top 5 pick in next year's NFL draft really isn't getting a whole lot of targets? Do you think there's some underlying issues? I know week 1 it looked like he had maybe a shoulder, but is there a reason to be concerned as a Buckeye fan?
I don't think so. And in saying that, I am slightly concerned. So I'll contradict myself there. I think, on the offensive scheme, we know he's going to be the number one kind of decoy or target, and defenses are going to double team him, and we're going to see a lot of that. So I think they're trying not to force it so much to him, but at the same time, I would like to see schemed and game plans more around him getting open.
Right.
So I think there's a little bit of a lack of that, but maybe they're holding back a little bit, but I would have thought this would have been a game that they would want to pull out all
Showcase.
stops. So we had to win this game.
Yeah.
So, you know, as far as injuries, I think he's fine. I think he'll be fine. We definitely got to get him the ball more. So, I mean, that's on the OC and Day in general. So, um,
Well, I mean, when you have a we'll call it a backup plan, which I think he'd be anybody's number one, Emeka Ibuka, who
yeah.
I call him Chris Olave 2.0. He
Hmm.
reminds me a lot of how he played. He can kind of weasel his way into pockets of the zone defense, and he just seems to get open. He's got a knack to get yardage after the catch, which is really good. And then you got Stover at tight end, who he's a tough guy, and he was getting punished in that game, but he was taking it, and
Hmm.
those are nice options to have. And ultimately, I think they're going to want to utilize those guys a little bit more, and then bring back in the running game, because outside of that last two drives, the running game really wasn't there for them. Which it
Right.
has the ability to, because they have a very good running back room. So having Ibuka and Stover there is definitely, a big piece to that offense. And if that line can block, man, Ohio State, watch out. I mean, as a Michigan fan, that scares me a little bit. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, you
look,
look at.
go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No,
No,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say you look at McCord being in the big lights here and on a big stage. Um, I, some of that hesitation, I think, is was Stover and Buka being the safety blanket a little bit
Yeah.
more. The route tree's not as extensive as Harrison's, and he doesn't have to make the tougher throws with them. And tight ends open quite a bit. So with that setup this weekend. So I think some of that all comes into play, but hopefully he'll have a little bit more confidence. And, like I said, the offense can scheme better to get Harrison more targets.
Well, I had a couple questions here for Raj, but as you can see, he's not with us yet. But speaking of that last drive, I'll ask you because I know you were dialed in. It came out shortly after that game ended that Notre Dame only had 10 guys on the field in that last play. Who do you blame in that situation? Is that a player not knowing the assignment, or is that just a coaching staff that completely lost control of the moment in that situation?
It's probably a little of both. I'd say it's more on the coaching staff. I mean, you've got to have somebody's got to be one counting at all times. I mean, that's just there's a designated guy that counts every time. Like, and I think Freeman kind of winged it in the press conference as far as, well, we didn't want to draw a penalty, and he tried to play it off that way. I don't think they had a clue there were 10 men on the field because you could have jumped off sides, especially on the very last play. You would have gained 6 inches. I mean, get another guy out there. Like, what's that going to do? So I honestly think they didn't even have a clue. And I think Freeman winged it in the press conference, and it is what it is. But it's one of those tough lessons. Could the game have gone differently? Yeah, sure. But it is what it is. And, that's another thing about this game and especially in NFL, good coaches exploit weaknesses. And when you see weaknesses like that, that's why I love the run call, the last play, to run the ball. So, hats off to Day and squad, the Buckeyes. What a game.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say it. I think we all agree. Games are won. You know what? Let's put our big boys against your big boys. And if you stop us, you earned it. And if not, we earned it. So at that moment, I think Notre Dame was on their heels. They could have gone either way because McCord made some really big throws. There was like a 3rd and 13, and he just rifled it in there.
3rd and 19.
3rd and 19, yeah. And he just made the play and that growth. So, and then they had a couple runs that really were impactful. So I really think Freeman, they were out of timeouts, and they blew their timeouts early. And I think this is a situation that kind of bit them in the rear end to where they just had to figure it out, and they were wrong. Marcus Freeman's going to be okay. He's
a great coach.
He's a great coach. This is his 2nd year. This is arguably the biggest game in his coaching career against his alma mater. So, you know what? There's growing pains. Ryan Day is a good coach. And all the Buckeye fans out there that want to put his head on a pike because he's 0-2 against Michigan need to chill. And because the guy's a good coach, whether you like him or not, he'll figure it out. And Freeman will figure it out too. And I don't see them making that mistake again. But we won't get too much more into Notre Dame other than, did this loss kind of kill their chances for a possible college football playoff berth?
Probably. Unless this is their only loss and Ohio State loses to Penn State and Michigan, I could see a world where they could kind of slide in the 4th spot. But I got to tell you, man, there's so many good Pac-12 teams that I just don't think a one-loss Notre Dame I don't think they have a chance to get in.
No.
I mean, not with the Pac-12 being as strong as they are, and of course the SEC and the Big Ten. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, obviously you got to take probably ACC champion. It's looking like Florida State's going to be that. I don't see a world where Notre Dame gets in unless they're undefeated.
And if I'm Notre Dame fan, this is an example, number one, and it stops right there. Yep. Why you have to be in a conference.
Yep.
You put your I don't want to say arrogance because one of my best friends is a Notre Dame grad, and he would take offense to that. But the bottom line is football really is the only sport where you're not really attached to a conference. You're in the Big Ten in hockey. Join the Big Ten in football because you lose in mid-September and your season is, unless you absolutely go to Duke this week, dominate, which Duke has shown they're not the same Duke of old. They're not just a basketball school anymore. And then you got USC coming in here in a couple of weeks, which can't wait for that game. Reckless Speculation live from South Bend. So you don't have many opportunities to kind of get back to a prominent position in the draft, or I should say in the rankings, to get yourself up there. So this is a really bad loss for Notre Dame. We'll see. This season has been a little crazy, and college football, as we know, is crazy. So really anything can happen. And speaking of crazy, the Colorado Buffalo hype train, as we've mentioned time and time on this show, madness. The revenue that they've gained, the very first home game, Boulder as a town grossed $18 million in revenue. That's pretty amazing. Basically coming from a football program that was 1-11 last year, started 3-0. We all knew what was going to happen going in to Oregon, facing those Ducks. And, Dan Lanning kind of set the tone early on in the week, basically saying, what have they done in this conference? They really haven't done anything. And I don't blame him for kind of talking. Obviously, Colorado State's coach made some comments that kind of bit him in the ass, and they almost end up getting the win, but put a lot more attention on that game. But Lanning knew, like, hey, these guys got to prove it, and they really haven't proved it. Let's see what they can do. And this game was over before the first quarter. Is it time for people to jump off the bandwagon, or is it just pump the brakes, let this program develop, and they'll be just fine?
Yeah, look, I mean, we talked about this gauntlet they were facing, from week one. That look ahead, look what's going to happen. Look, what Prime has done there is amazing, and what he's brought to the city, like you said, I mean, and the attention that they're getting, it's great. It's great for the kids. It's great for the program. Like he said in one interview, like 90% of these kids are not going to go to the NFL.
Right.
But now we're working on, relationships outside of that, getting in good, jobs or good companies. So what he's doing is great. And he's good for the program. He's good for college football. He's a great coach. It's just going to take some time. I mean, they just a bunch of transfers all over the place. Like, his kids are good. The transfers are good. The talent's there. It's not cohesive yet. And we kind of called that. And I feel sorry for him this week at home against USC. So it's going to be a tough one.
Are you going out to that game?
No, unfortunately, it didn't work out. My wife doesn't get back till 5:30, and the flight out was at 5:20. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been cool to see.
Yeah, it'd have been fun.
I will say this about Deion. I don't think you've seen a coach in the college rankings that generally loves his kids. There was a clip of him today that came out, and Travis Hunter texting him, I'll do whatever I have to do to make it on this. I'm playing, coach. I'm playing Saturday. And he texted him back, I care more about you than this game. It's a game. Get healthy, and then you can come back. I just, for anybody that wants to trash talk Deion, that he's a big mouth and this and that, look for that quote, because that's the ultimate coach. That's the ultimate father figure. And if I'm a parent and I see that, and I absolutely want my kid playing for him, because it just proves that yeah, the game's important. It's USC. It's another game that's going to be on national TV. It's important, but it's not important as much as the health of that kid. And I just I think he's great. He's always been a big talker because he can back it up. And I
Hmm.
truly believe when you come into a situation first year and you have 72 new kids on your team, the chances of success aren't there very high. And we've talked about it before. It takes a little while to build depth, develop depth on your program. And yeah, you might have, 4 stars on your offensive defensive line and whatnot, but your backup might be a walk-on or a 1 star or never got any other offers. So it's going to take time. I think he's
Hmm.
going to build this thing up big time and take last week's games, throw it out the window. This week, I throw it out the window too, because it's really not a fair representation of what that program will be in 2 or 3 years. I made a comment last week. We were out and about, and people were like, "Oh, it's trash. They're a fraud. Like they're going to win a national championship in 5 years. Mark my word." And I believe in Dion, and I think he will. Um, but I guess the one of the big question marks coming into this game was Bo Nix. Uh, a lot of people have forgotten about Bo Nix. This is his fourth or fifth year. I think it's his fifth year.
Fifth year.
He was a
Transfer
lot of
from Auburn. Yeah.
big hype coming out of Auburn. Just never seemed to get it together. Goes to Oregon, playing pretty good. Had a hell of a game, 28 of 33, 276, 3 touchdowns. Is this a quarterback? And obviously a quarterback friendly conference with Caleb Williams, with Michael Penix now, and DJU and Bo Nix. Is this a quarterback that Oregon can really get behind and lead them to a Pac-12 championship and maybe even a college football playoff berth?
From what I've seen so far, hell yeah. I mean, this guy, he's composed. He's making all the throws, making the reads. I mean, I what Dan Lanning's done with him, I don't know how he's flipped him or what he's done to him, but he looks completely different than he did at Auburn, uh, and that's. And I thought he was halfway decent at Auburn, And then when he transferred to Oregon, um, he's been great. He was great last year. I thought
Mm-hmm.
he's really good last year. So yeah, the way they're rolling right now, I mean, they keep this momentum going. I have to look their schedule up, but I mean they've got some tough, Washington, Utah, USC. I mean, Pac-12 is loaded this year.
It's
In my opinion, it's the best conference,
hands
like
down,
on
hands
paper
down.
and statistically in football, and eye test as well from what I've seen. So
Right. I agree. I agree 100%. And it is kind of a shame that it's probably their best year as a conference, and
and
it'll
then
be
they're
their
blowing
last
up.
year as a
Yeah,
conference.
yeah.
Um, so I think with
Pac-12
Bo Nix,
fashion.
Bo Nix, I think it was probably the perfect situation for him going to the Pacific Northwest, where generally people don't really watch, and especially when they're primetime games. Not a whole lot of people are watching. Not a lot of people staying up for Pac-12 after dark, except for the crazies. But I think it was a good situation for him. Boost his confidence. Get in a system that just don't make mistakes.
Hmm.
Kind of like Georgia, where they're going to have a good running game. They've got a good tight end. They've got the pieces. Just don't make mistakes, and kind of built his confidence. And here we go. I mean, he's in the top 10 of talk of the Heisman, and he's deserved it. So moving
Yeah.
forward, I think it'll be interesting to see his development. More big games, can he handle it? Which I really think he can. So,
Well, and that's a sign of a good coach, and
mhm.
you know adapting your system to what you have as far as talent and what your strengths and weaknesses are in your quarterback or offense. And a lot of coaches, that's hard for them to do.
Right.
They don't want to budge on what their scheme is or whatever. But Lanning's done a really good job with him, and it fits well. And that goes to show how important it is for a quarterback to fit in the right system,
Mm-hmm.
to highlight their talent and show what they can actually do. And that happens. We see that time and time again in NFL,
Right.
where a lot of wasted talent
Brock Purdy.
just goes by the wayside. Yeah. And then
Yep.
you get a Brock Purdy and, Tom Brady. It's just,
Yep.
systems are important.
And I do think Nick's kind of, I think we were all a bit surprised, like Oregon, like that's interesting going from SEC to Pac-12, but here we
Mm-hmm.
are, 2 years later, and it's just worked out, and Oregon's right there in the conversation. Um, Speaking of SEC, this was one game that I felt it was an opportunity for Lane Kiffin to go in there and say, "This is my show now." And boy, did he do what Lane Kiffin always does. He blew it. Um, Alabama, it's no secret they've got a quarterback issue. Milroe back at the helm as quarterback after the week prior at South Florida or Central Florida, where they went through the second and third, which I thought it was funny that Saban kind of made a comment that, well, these guys were going to play because, it's who we were playing. We wanted to give them some reps. I'm calling BS on that one. He's
Right.
not confident. And this is the first time in a long time where there's some question marks in Tuscaloosa, especially at the quarterback position. But Jalen Milroe comes in. Obviously, like I said, Ole Miss, kind of a good story coming in, ranked pretty high. He gets the win. It wasn't anything flashy, but he gets the win. Did Alabama and Milroe turn the proverbial corner after this game?
No, not at all. Not at all. This was my analogy is little brother finally is just the same height as big brother and
Yep.
wants to come in and pick a fight and gets put in his place. And that's what happened. Kiffin, yeah, he blew it. Out coached. Saban just he knew he could control the game, running the football, controlling the game clock, and not relying on a quarterback who he's unsure of. And the guy showed up. Offensive line's still pretty good.
Yep.
Defense is really good for Bama. So he's got a lot of strengths there he could rely on, and he used those to his advantage in this game. And I mean, it was a simple game plan, and he knows Kiffin. He knew what he was going to probably try, and it just didn't work. It was Big Brother prevails once again.
It's interesting. Up until probably 2 years ago, when Kirby Smart finally got over the hump against his former boss, Saban seems to turn the screws and hit the right buttons a little bit harder when he's playing against some of his former assistants. Obviously so, because you don't want the student to one up the teacher. But Lane Kiffin, this seems to be his MO. Flashy, hype, get that team built up. And then when you need him to really get a big win, he just falls flat. Is he a big game disappointment coach, or does he not have the right pieces in place to get these big wins done?
That's a good question. I just don't think he's cut out for a head coaching job. I think he's a great OC. I just don't think it goes much further than that in college. I think he's got too many moving parts, and he can't keep control of all of it. And then obviously his offense is suffering because of that. When he's 100% focused on the offense and he's the coordinator, he's great. He's a great OC. But again, going against a 20+ year vet like Saban, I mean, that's a tall mountain to climb there. And when you're, a duck on water, you're not gonna fare very well. So
he has a knack for smelling blood and just knowing when I'm not ready. I'm not ready to step down. It's not my time yet, and you'll know when it is. And last week it wasn't it. So I think it was a failed attempt with Ole Miss. I think they really could have.
This was their best opportunity to date that they've
Yes.
had.
Yeah,
And they completely blew it because
they did.
Yeah, I mean, Bama's wounded. They're down and out this year. Like you said, I mean, this could have been a really big step for Kiffin and Ole Miss, and
What it could have
now
done for
it's
recruiting, I mean,
everything. Yeah, dude. And I mean, they got a big game this week too, right?
yes, foreshadowing. They've got let's see, they're playing at home against LSU.
Yeah, so
it doesn't get any easier for Lane Kiffin, although he is at home. So
Grubb's a tough place to play.
Yeah, they're a little bit of foreshadowing for bonus nuts. We'll be hitting in on that game. So we're going to go around campus and go down the road from, actually up the road from where you are, down the road from the Chattanooga boys. Knoxville. I've been telling Al, them volunteer fans, don't sell your soul for Joel Milton because he will disappoint you. Michigan, he came into this program so hyped. And the very first game, I forget who they played, but he looked great. Just like he looked great last year in the bowl game.
So like Appalachian State or something?
And then after that, he disappeared. 2 weeks ago against Florida, he was a no-show. That was the Joe Milton that I was used to seeing as a Michigan fan. Last week, again, 18 to 31, 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, this is a program that is built and it has sold itself on the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Heupel is considered to be somebody that can really get quarterbacks going. I mean, look what he did for Hendon Hooker. He would have been a Heisman Trophy winner unless he blows his knee out. He's third string here on my Detroit Lions. That would be nice to see him one day. But, there was a lot of hype coming in with Joe Milton. Have we seen who Joe Milton really is? Or is there still hope that Heupel might be able to get him turned around? Because the rematch is coming up this Saturday against the Gamecocks.
No, there's no hope. There's no hope for Joe Milton. I'm sorry, Vols fans.
I agree.
He's the same guy he's always been. Like, he always comes out, oh, what a great camp he's had. But he's got no pressure on him, and there's no hard decisions. Of course, he can be somewhat accurate. He can throw it out of the gym. He's Jamarcus Russell 2.0.
Oh, 100%.
He couldn't hit a 10-foot by 10-foot sign on a bootleg if he tried. And this guy's he's just not it. And again, there's got to be some adaptation there on Heupel's part, in my opinion. You got to make it simpler for him, a little more checkdowns, a little more crossing routes, bubble screens, get some confidence, get some completions going. Milton is unfortunately going to tank Tennessee this year, and they've got a really good team.
I'll go back to last week's show. Robbie made a pretty good a read. Heupel likes to stretch out that offense. Do you think, my opinion, I think he needs to bring those ends in a little bit closer and give him some throws that he can build confidence, because it's one thing to be able to throw it, out of the place. And it's another to have accuracy, and he just doesn't have it. And I think it's a confidence issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that may or may not be the case. And we're going to welcome on Raj to the show. Welcome, Raj. What's happening?
See, this is Matthew Fritz from the Santa Lucia Highlands. It's a very nice bottle of wine.
Uh-oh.
And after today, computer breakdowns, being on the road, back injury, being prepared, and 20, 30 minutes late, which is unprofessional, and there's no excuse. And using my fucking AirPods, by the way. For those that don't know, Robbie, you guys have AirPods in too. My bad.
No, we have microphones though.
Oh, yes. I don't. Can you hear me, Tom? Or is it windy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Do you have your mic?
I can't. I'm on my phone right now because
okay.
computers, iPad is dead, and the Amazon Fire is not supported because it's got Silk as the fucking browser.
Okay.
It's been a fucking day, bro. But
yeah,
where are we at? Let me know.
Well, we were just talking about and fellas, we just got another entrance into the green room. Robbie Davis live from the dumpster fire we call Florida. What's up, buddy?
America's Wang. Hey, thanks for showing up, asshole. Thanks for showing up.
So we were just talking about. Go ahead.
Hey, sorry, I logged into Raj's calendar. Are we not on time?
We are right on time. Right on time. So
yeah, we were just talking about the shit show Milton and the balls.
Yeah, we're talking about Joe Milton and his another lackluster performance. Robbie, you are our resident Volunteer fan. Are you concerned that Joe Milton is just not who I think Volunteer Nation thought he was going to be, that somebody warned you about? Are you concerned at all?
Yes. I am concerned. I think he's everything that people did warn us about, but I still think he knows the offense, and it's not an offense that's easily ran by a young kid. So Nico's not ready yet. And then I think the Vols win and cover this weekend, and the show rolls on.
Well, they better. I mean, this is the redemption game. Obviously, what the Gamecocks did to them last year, they scored so many touchdowns, they ran out of fireworks, which was incredible. So, Raj, you're our resident Pac-12 participant for one more year, and then you jump on the good guy conference.
I was going to ask you if I can, for those who don't know, Tom does everything. And I believe Tom put the agenda together, and he has it down to each question. Or did you, Brandon?
No, that was all Tom.
It was fucking Tom. Folks, he's got it down to every question and everything. And that's why I actually feel shitty, despite being a narcissist, for being late. Tom, if you give me a second, I can answer most of your questions in like 2 minutes.
I mean, well, I'll
get straight to your point with the Pac-12. Were you about to ask about Michael Penix?
I'm going to ask about Michael Penix. Another game, 4 touchdowns, 304 yards passing, 19 of 25. I like Michael Penix. I thought he was a good quarterback at Indiana. Unfortunately, he had health issues. He couldn't stay healthy. The product of the team he played on, maybe. Offensive line, not up to par, probably. Now he goes to Washington. He's got a better system, a better program. He's healthy, and he's showing why he's one of the top quarterbacks. Is he, in your opinion, the front runner for the Heisman at this point of the season?
Obviously, I'm biased, but I would say absolutely not. And the reason why is you got Boise State, Tulsa, Michigan State, and Cal. All trash secondaries. On top of that, right now, you could argue that their 3 top receivers are playing better than anyone else in the country, including the great Ohio State Buckeye duo. Because you got 3 guys that all have over 20 catches. Roma Dunze and Jalen Polk both have over 20 for over like 400 yards and 4 TDs each. One 6'3", 215, the other 6'2", 210. Jalen McMillan has come out of kind of in the shadow. He's a fourth-year senior, but they've kind of waited for this. And you got a tight end that stepped up as well and a great offensive line. So I don't want to play he's not that great because everyone else is great game. But with Michael Penix Jr. right now, I think he's a fashionable pick. And, he has thrown a few picks, and sometimes he can hold on to the ball a little long. But, the misnomer, if you will, or misidentification of him is that he likes to take off and run, and he doesn't. He is a legit passing quarterback that will stay in the pocket. And if he continues at this pace, then yes, he absolutely will. He's completing passes at a 75% click. And this is without much of a run game because they lost Davis, I believe, preseason injury. So right now they're kind of substituting the run with a lot of short passing, but still, no matter how you look at it, 16 TDs, 209 rating. That was just in September. 1,600 yards already and a 75% clip. So, no, not my front runner. That's me. Welcome back, Raj. But yeah, I get it. I get it, but not my front runner.
I'm going to take it back to the OSU Notre Dame game for you guys. Robbie, I'll ask you. Brandon gave me his opinion on the fact that Notre Dame loses. Now, does this hurt their chances for a college football playoff berth? I'm interested to get your opinion and Raj's opinion on this one.
This is one of the weakest college football years I can remember as far as who's going to be good and who's going to be not good. I was talking about, hey, who knocks off Georgia? Because I can't imagine this Georgia team winning 36 games in a row or whatever it would be. The Pac-12 is going to eat itself, I think. Hey, Oregon State lost the game at Washington State. That's a really good team, though. Those two teams are going to knock some people off.
Washington State, Pac-2 champs. Woohoo!
Yeah. I think Notre Dame's still in this. I just don't think there's any great teams this year. One loss doesn't kill you, and especially while I don't think this will happen, but if Ohio State goes on to win the Big Ten, then that's a quality loss, and Notre Dame's right in there.
Almost helps them.
Yeah.
Raj, what's your stance? Because Brandon and I are kind of on the same page. I think this is a classic example of why Notre Dame needs to latch itself on to a conference because, one loss, it could be the end of the season. And that one loss happens in early or mid-September. And that really sucks as a program. So hearing Robbie's stance, what do you make of that situation? Are they kind of out of this thing already, or do they still have a legitimate chance?
I disagree in the conference thing. The way they got around it this year of all years was to schedule heavy. Yeah, they got some big boys at home, but you got Ohio State, USC, hopefully two top 5 teams. We'll see. USC won and dropped to 8th. At a very good Duke team in Riley Leonard. Mm-hmm. You got Pitt, a team that could run the ball, and at Clemson. And then your usual at Stanford. And, they travel all over the country, and they're playing all sorts of different offenses, all sorts of different teams. Yeah, you had everything in your favor against Ohio State. You're at home against an inexperienced quarterback with a veteran quarterback. You're up 4 with 1:26 left. You should win that game. Right. But in the end, I think so many pollsters look back and like, oh, they lost to number 4 in September or whenever it was. And I don't even know what month it is. It's still September.
Yeah.
So, no, I do not think they are out of it. I'll say this. Last thing I'll say, totally unrelated. Marcus Freeman is Brent Venables. He is a coordinator for life. There were some idiotic things said.
Vegetables.
Vegetables.
That's a bold statement. And
Raj,
Raj,
the stir fry to the vegetables.
Raj, I want to ask you.
Yeah,
I want to ask you this too. You mentioned Sam Hartman, the veteran quarterback. He looked out of sorts. He had a look on his face like he was a fish out of water at times, and he made a lot of bad decisions throwing the ball. 17 to 25, only 175 yards and a touchdown. I think the expectations coming into this game was going to be, and I even made the comment with my buddy Drew, who he's a Buckeye fan who's watching with me. This game's going to come down to the quarterback play and experience. I really thought this was a game where Hartman was going to show, this is me. This is why I came to Notre Dame, to get this team over the hump of these big games. He just didn't do it. And if not for their running game, Ohio State dominates. And so I guess the whole concern thing might be a little overblown. Is Sam Hartman kind of just middle of the road, or does he build off this and show why he belongs in a conversation of maybe a top 3 pick in next year's NFL draft?
Well, according to my 22-year-old niece, he's really cute, though. And he's got 5 NIL deals since August and like 11
and
total.
He had a rib removed, too.
Yes,
it's on a necklace.
Adam's rib. Ooh. Anyways, if you would have told me there would be a quarterback, one who's 24 years old and with a very good team, and an inexperienced quarterback to go 15 plays for the game-winning score with 126 left, and then told me it was Kyle McCord, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Everything was in his favor, and he didn't take advantage. And, I think their receivers are questionable at best. For me, it comes down to that, also that sneak. It looks as if on 4th and inches, if you will, it was a little bit longer, but it was a designed play that they tried to get cute, and, they didn't seal, and Ohio State knew it was coming. You saw 2 guys, I'm sure Chain already hit that. 2 guys blitz, basically beeline at that 45-degree angle and kill where the tight end is when Notre Dame collapsed. And the irony being in the bush, and I'm staring at that. It's inches, dude. It's go over center and push your ass there, especially with Estime, who missed the block. Why they got cute, I don't know. If Hartman, there was a dumb play. He's athletic, but not super athletic. At the same token, if he's a senior leader, in my opinion, this may be harsh, but call that shit off.
Yeah.
It's a dumbass play against a
and
he's got 7.
He's got the authority to do that, being his experience and reading a defense and knowing the situation. Yeah, I guess it comes back to what I said a couple minutes ago. He looked lost. I guess that's probably the best word to describe. I'm watching it. I'm like, this guy does not look like he's in the zone. He doesn't look like he's got it tonight. And it showed. And I guess it was if you're an Irish fan, it's very disappointing.
Well, he looks scared to make a mistake. Is what his issue was.
He did look scared. To me, it seemed like the offense. And Audric Estime, I think the world saw, is just a beast. And give him the ball.
Jerome Bettis 2.0.
Oh my gosh! And I was at those games when Notre Dame won 12 in a row. But Bettis went for like 200 yards at the Coliseum in like 95, and it sucked.
Hey! A few weeks ago, I told you I think Notre Dame can lose four games, and while I said they could still make the playoffs, they could still also lose 4 games. They got Duke coming up this week.
I think they can lose this week.
Yeah, they got Duke.
Bad hangover game.
At Louisville, USC, Pittsburgh, at Clemson. Like, Notre
Well-
Dame could go. They could fall off the rails.
Robbie, have you been drinking all day? Because I literally said that schedule like 3 minutes ago. But anyway, you look a little red there, Lobster. But
Yes, I have been
answer-
drinking all day.
well, I just started, so I'm kind of with it.
But
Tom, to answer,
I'm just saying, like, I called Notre Dame could lose 4 games this year.
you did do
Yeah.
that. Then again, anybody can lose except for Georgia. Bama could lose 4 games. But no, to answer your question, Tom, I think it's also a reflection of kind of what looks like a crappy offensive scheme when it comes to the passing game. Bad receivers, and a guy that didn't look confident in and I'm not saying bad receivers. It was just a bad recipe, and it didn't seem like most quarterbacks are licking their lips when they have a chance to win that game at home and with all those things in his favor. Mm-hmm. And he was not licking his lips.
No. Yeah. Well, I give a little credit to Jim Knowles too there on that. I mean, he did pretty well with the defensive scheme.
All credit. They out-schemed them just like Dan Lanning did to Colorado.
Yeah.
It was a joke in terms of defensive coordinating, like scheming. It was too easy.
Well, here's another team, another coach will say that was licking his lips with a minute and a half to play with an opportunity to go ahead. I'm talking about Clemson, who just signs their kicker, I think, Tuesday of last week. He hit a couple extra points.
How the fuck was that?
He missed a 30-yard field goal that could have, put them on top at that time. I think from the second quarter of that game on, it was a shootout back and forth. Clemson score, Florida State came back and followed suit. Robbie, I'll ask you this. Is Clemson no longer considered a powerhouse program?
Clemson's lawyers are talking to Michigan State's lawyers and figuring out how the hell do we get out of this contract. That is what Clemson's lawyers are doing.
What was her name again? Can you send her our way?
I don't know why it's funny, but it's
exactly, Brandon. Like Tracy, who? Yes, like yes.
We have an internship available.
Dabo.
Like, it's rhetorical. Like how would Dabo how would he sound jerking off on the phone? Rhetorical.
Hey. He doesn't even use lotion.
You said it, it's okay.
Clemson is they passed Florida State, then falling back behind, and then now they can't. Dabo's just not embracing what college football has become, and for better or worse, but it is what it is, and Dabo's just falling behind.
Brandon, I guess Robbie kind of hit on it. Like the thought is there maybe that there could be a conversation with how to get out of that contract. How long? How many more seasons or losses we'll say before the school really looks at Dabo as maybe the problem and parts ways with him?
I mean, I give him 2 more years. I think that's too long, but I think that's what he'll get.
Yeah.
It kind of went back and forth. All right, first game against LSU, Florida State, they looked dominant. They, punched LSU in the mouth. It was like, all right, no brainer here. Then they slipped up against Boston College with a really shitty game. And we were like, okay, now ACC's up for grabs again because Clemson started looking better. This was just I don't know if they got out-coached or what happened there. I didn't really watch a whole lot of the game. I caught some highlights, but I still think I still think Florida State's not as good as we thought they were initially. Because Clemson's a bad football team this year.
Yeah.
They're not a good football team. And this went to what, 2 overtimes? Was that one or 2 overtimes?
I think it was one. I think it was one.
They don't run the ball well. And not just against Clemson, against BC, their top back had 12 for 38, I believe. You can't do that and
Yeah.
continue to
So
win.
yeah, it's just it's still, Clemson. This could be Clemson's only loss, and they could run the table, come back in the championship, and beat Florida State, and then here we are. So
we know that's not true. You and I, everybody here.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, no, Clemson already lost to Duke.
Oh well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's right. Well, yeah.
I
Which-
love
They're done.
Dabo's love for his twin,
Yeah.
his twin
Forgot.
son, Cade Klubnik.
Because Duke's
We-
about to
the
beat
whole
Notre
way.
Dame again.
Yeah.
We-
So, yeah.
Raj, we all know you love Cade Klubnik.
Not only that, Dabo went full on, all out, basically sold out DJU. You can read between the lines for the young hand. I'm not going to go anywhere else, but it's funny to me if the talent judgment obviously has changed, the recruiting has changed. I don't know who they go to from there. That's one thing I'm wondering. It's still Clemson.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah, I mean, who
Valley,
are you
South
going to
Carolina.
get right now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's pretty safe,
Yeah.
but they got their national championship. Now sit back and win 9 to 10 games.
They're
with your
halfway
shitty schedule.
decent at recruiting too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it's fine. We'll see.
No more
what
national
happens.
championships.
No, we'll see what
he's-
happens with all the recruiting and the realignment of the conferences, and then I think that's going to make some influence on his position.
Doesn't
And-
seem like they're coaching anyone up, though. Everyone
Yeah,
seems
I mean,
No.
it's still, you're paying $10 million a year.
Right.
I know, but to your point,
Yeah.
Robbie, he's not adapting to this
No,
transfer portal.
He's got to embrace NIL.
Yeah.
And
NIL, like
two
he's
coaches-
trying to stay old school, and it's
Yep.
not going to work.
two coaches that tried that, and Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh here went into NIL thinking that tradition's going to carry us. They found out. They found out really quick that this is not the state of college football. You have to embrace it, or you're going to be left in the dust. And I think until Dabo realizes that, hey, whether you like it or not, this is where we're at in college football. Until they kind of put the clamps on it, you got to embrace it. And if he doesn't, it's going to be a long road for Clemson. And I don't see it ending well for him. But like I said, I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm biased. I'm partial. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on obviously cupcake season. I'll be the first to tell you it drives me crazy because I don't think it prepares these kids for the games that matter. And last year, they kind of fumbled a little bit. Obviously, they win a second Big Ten championship. And this year, nothing to write home about, we'll say. Last week, they covered. They hit the number, which I was surprised. But I want to know your stance on it. And is it fair that they're still ranked number 2 in the country? I'll start with you, Raj.
First of all, if you look at ESPN, by the way, on college football, you want to see Phil Knight and Nike money that Rob talks about. It says bodacious with B-O in green. They're already starting their campaign, which is so them. Yeah, it's fair, man. I mean, again, if you look at that team, and for those that, understand football, it starts in the trenches, and they're still right now the best team in the country in the trenches, it appears. Now, yeah, the schedule's not the same, and you said in big games. Lately, it's been one game. I do question the game breaking, as I said before, on the outside. But when you look at that defensive line and that offensive line, I just see like Stonehenge. Like I see blocks that don't move, and I don't see that anywhere else right now. In terms of technique and everything. Now, Georgia's got guys that look like that, but they're young. Michigan, to me, is the most polished team in terms of the offensive and defensive line.
Robbie, where do your stance with Michigan as an outsider looking in?
Yeah, and so this is where preseason rankings are stupid. My top 2 or top 3 teams so far are Washington, Oregon, and USC. They've looked the best to me. Like Georgia being number 1, I think is ridiculous. Michigan being number 2 is ridiculous. They just haven't played anybody, and so it's just this. Yeah, I mean, hell, that'd be like me talking to Raj every day on the phone. Of course, I'm going to be better than him, but we don't do
How's
that
your
every
fantasy
day.
team doing, dude?
Hey, 70% playoff percentage.
And Brandon, obviously, you're the enemy.
Yeah.
So, but you're definitely not one to let that kind of judge what you feel. So, as a Buckeye fan, where do you think Michigan stands at right now?
No, I'm a realist, dude. Michigan right now is a better team than Ohio State for sure. In the trenches, like Raj's point, and that's where this game. So I think I've said this before on this podcast. I mean, Ohio State typically, I mean, with Kyle McCord this year, it's a little sketchy. It's getting better, but typically Ohio State is built to win championships. Michigan is built to beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
and that's like that's their drive. That's what they've done. I mean, let's be honest, we've beat them for how many years in the past, and
in the past is what you said there. That was operative.
In the past, exactly.
Don't remind me.
Now Michigan, I'm nervous every time we play them, and for good reason. I just hope that we can continue to get better and have somewhat of a good game and hopefully win this year. But Michigan being number 2, where else are they going to go? I mean, they're a good team, and to Robbie's point, preseason rankings. Once you're slotted, and they're averaging 32 points a game or something like that, 33 points a game. They're winning their games pretty handedly. I mean, where are you going to put? You can't drop them. I mean, they're already there. So until these teams get into the meat of the schedule where they start playing some other good teams, that's when you're going to start seeing separation. But
where do you think Michigan would be in the college football playoff rankings?
Ooh.
I've got
based on now. I mean,
yeah.
I think they would be.
I see your point. It would be reputation.
And, I think they'd still be number 2.
I think it's 2.
You would put Michigan number 2.
Yeah.
No, but the voters.
I've got
Washington.
I've got Washington, Michigan,
Oregon.
No, I think Oregon is going to fall by the wayside.
But no, but
Ohio State, man. That's
I don't have
best
Ohio
win
State
of the
in
year.
there either.
Ohio State won.
I mean,
Notre Dame,
Texas, Oklahoma. Yeah, the Texas.
No, I mean
Oklahoma,
that was a good win.
FSU.
At the risk of derailing, I want to ask Tom a quick question. I know where we're going to go.
Yeah,
Tom, I think Ohio State has a higher ceiling than Michigan. Am I right?
I think you can be, and it goes back to what Brandon said.
You sound like my wife.
This team, and it's been said time and time again, yeah, Ohio State's built for the college football playoff, and Michigan, and this started back in the Schembechler day. Like everything was about winning the Big Ten, and Harbaugh's kind of gone by that moniker. So I probably would agree with you. Yeah, their ceiling's a little bit higher. They have a little bit more in certain areas that Michigan doesn't, specifically wide receiver, and then vice
skill
versa.
position.
Michigan has some things that Ohio State doesn't have. So
trenches, you guys
more
dominate.
Steady.
Yeah, trenches, you guys dominate. Skill positions, I think we're better offensively, and even in the secondary, I think we're a little better. But it's still
like Colorado,
Oregon.
Oregon.
Trenches are, I mean, that's where
important.
the game's won, and it's very important. And Michigan has been brutal the last 2 years. So,
right. So
yeah, we'll see.
Talking about rankings, we're going to give our reckless speculation top 5 rankings. Obviously, this is not based upon what ESPN or the AP says. This is what we, as the reckless speculation representatives, watching games, how we feel the top 5 is. And Brandon, I'm going to start with you. What is your top 5 for this week?
I'm going to go Georgia, Washington, Michigan, USC, Ohio State.
Okay. Robbie, who you got?
I've got FSU.
Oh.
He has been drinking all day.
I have Washington, Oregon, Utah,
Ooh.
and USC. West Coast USC.
That is that
only
would be
one.
defined as a reckless speculation
Nah,
top
man.
5. That is the name of the show, folks. And I like it. I like it. I like the tenacity.
Hey, LSU is a top 5 or top 6 team. FSU beat them. I'll stand by my picks.
Hey, yeah, LSU got that coach who loves his family. Raj,
Yeah.
what's your top 5 for the week?
I got the same first two, UGA and Michigan. I'm going to throw Texas in there because Alabama proved with a team like Ole Miss going 3 for 14 on third downs that you beat that team no matter what defensively. I don't care about the offense. You're a good-ass team. I got Utah at number 4 because they have super impressive wins without an All-American quarterback, which is insane. And Whittingham gets the most out of his players. There's no doubt about that. At number 5, I'm torn between USC, Oregon, Washington, and Penn State. I'm not going FSU because I don't like their inability to run the football. I think they've been playing with fire. I know what you think about Penn State. I think they are usually hyped, but I don't know, man. There's just something about this team that they just looked faster, and whether it's now or later, Allar is going to be a Heisman guy. Like, he's going to be in New York. And
a couple years.
You know, in a couple years. I know he only had like 160 yards or whatever, but
it was raining in his defense.
Now, true. And James Franklin is a dildo, but I just think
don't
they're
disrespect
right
dildos.
Sorry. True. But I think they're right up there, and I think they're all ahead of FSU.
Well, I've got number 1, and I hate, and it pains me to say this because I just everything about this state I'm not a fan of. Their pro team and their college team, but I think they've probably got the most complete team, and that's Texas. Got them number 1. Michigan, I'll take number 2 because we all know what Harbaugh is infamous for. He keeps that playbook just enough, and then as the games get bigger and more important, the playbook opens up. So I keep them at number 2. I think Ohio State proved a lot this past week. Going into Notre Dame at night, which, you know, I'm one to say, you play a primetime game at home, the chances of you winning are a little bit higher. Ohio State went in there, and they got the job done. They did what they had to do, moved them up to 3. Washington, number 4, and Oregon after what they did to Colorado. I think that gets them into the top 5. So,
hey, Rob, who are you partying with? Because we can all hear them.
Yeah, I've super nice
if they're gonna
headphones
party,
to pick
dude,
up.
party
Yeah,
hard, bro.
we're about to
going
someone
half-assed.
else's beach house, I guess.
So that's my top 5, and now we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to a new segment: game balls and fumbles for the week.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you have another fucking room there, bro?
So basically, who got your game ball for the week, and who just fumbled it? Raj, we're going to start with you. Who's your game ball and fumble for the week?
I saw this. Can you come back to me? I saw this in your amazing write-up, but I'm flustered, which doesn't happen often.
Brandon, I'll start with you.
I know.
All right. I've got a game ball and a fumble, which neither are going to players. They're going to coaches. In my game ball is Dan Lanning's pregame speech to Oregon about prime time and Hollywood, and we play this game on the field, and we play for wins, not clicks. Now that
needs to be on a T-shirt.
It was definitely motivation. Like we talked earlier, Tom. I love Prime. I love everything he's doing for the program. Mm-hmm. No hate against him whatsoever, and he owned it at the end of it. He had a really good conference afterwards, saying, they expect perfection. They want to go out and win every game, and that's just their MO. Blah blah blah. But what a speech that was. So I'm going to give him the game ball. And then as far as the fumble goes, it's going to Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. 10 guys on the field for 2 plays straight. Yeah. I mean, come on, bro. What are you doing?
Twice in the same month. They did it earlier in the month.
And he can play it off saying, well, we didn't want to draw a penalty, but don't give me that shit. You didn't know what was going on. Nobody was counting your guys. There's always a designated guy that counts the freaking players, whether it be a player, whether it be an assistant coach, whether it be somebody. I mean, we had that in high school. Come on. Like, somebody's always counting players. Yep. So to tell me that you didn't want to draw a penalty, especially on the 1 yard line, I mean, what are you going to give up? 6 inches, half the distance of the goal line? Come on, get another guy out there.
Yeah, he later said they should have a call to draw an offside. Like, that should be something.
Oh, for sure.
They haven't done that yet, though. And he said the coaches were stuck watching the game like others.
I think they had no idea there was 10 plays on the field, and they tried to play it off in the conference. So
he didn't, because it happened for 2 plays and once earlier in the month.
Robbie, who's your game ball and your fumble?
Game ball, I agree with what Brandon said. Dan Fanning. Since he lost that opener to Georgia, Oregon has been one of the most impressive programs in the last 2 years. And look, I know Oregon has all the money in the world, but an NFL team's going to come calling. And, hey, guys, he coached under Nick Saban and Kirby Smart.
It's a pretty good resume.
If Nick goes, if he wants to retire, that's the one to go. The fumble of the week for me was Lane Kiffin. Oh my gosh, this is your chance to beat Nick Saban, and
we talked about it earlier. We talked about
had a lot of chances to do that.
You shit the bed, man. That was the worst performance of a team that should beat a wounded Alabama team, and just so he's the dog of the week.
Well said.
All right, Raj, you ready?
I'm ready.
Game ball and fumble.
So Rob kind of stole a little bit of thunder. Alabama defense was right up there, but my game ball goes to former Incarnate Word Division II, I believe, BCS Catholic school private in Texas quarterback who transferred to Washington State, Cam Ward. Cameron Ward was 28 of 34 for 404 yards and 4 TDs in Washington State's win. He also had a touchdown on the ground this year. So far, 1,400 yards, 13 TDs, no picks. If anybody's seen this team, and they're one of those teams kind of like Utah that adapts to the lack of talent. Their offensive scheme changes. Maybe Notre Dame should listen to that. But, last year, 23 TDs and 9 picks when people said he couldn't make the jump. Cam Ward was outstanding. He made the plays. They were up 35-14 to start the fourth, but when you look at key conversions and whatnot, he showed his leadership ability. And I was super impressed with that. My fumble is Notre Dame's green jerseys.
Oh, I thought they were sweet. I like them.
Yes, they are a gimmick. And to me, when I see a team that comes out with somebody that needs an added boost, it means they can't handle us. And if you look back at their history, I think the last time they won a big game in the green jerseys was probably a bowl game with Jerome Bettis. Before that,
was
Joe
Rudy
Montana.
playing on defense?
Exactly. I was at the Bush Push game, and Charlie Wise pulled him out, and we know how that happened. He pulled him out 2 years later against USC at home. The final was 38-0. They were number 8 in the country under Tyrone Willingham in 2002, and they lost to an unranked BC 14-7. I just left my body and came back. I remember that, but I seriously don't remember what time we start.
This is why we allow you to come on being a half an hour late.
Oh, I know. No, it's the Indian in me. It's a gimmick, and I think
Hey, Raj was very late for his plane, by the way. Raj and I were on the same plane, and Raj was very late.
Of course he was. Of course he was.
Raj didn't sleep all night the night before, and our flight was at 6:46. Part of the reason why Raj is still a disaster right now, who had a red eye back from California. But anyways, no bitching. Point being, they're fucking gimmicks, and you don't need it. And they keep doing it. By the way, I got to mention 4th and short, Notre Dame and Hartman not getting it. Bush push, green jerseys. Hilarious.
A little karma there. My game ball this week, and I'm going to catch a lot of flack from my fellow Michigan fans, I'm sure, but I don't care. It's Kyle McCord. This kid had 1:26 to get the job done, and he got the job done. Everything that we've kind of seen from him this year said this is a Notre Dame win.
Yeah.
Primetime game, all eyes are on him. He just made the big throws when he had to. Just was the good game manager. Didn't let the moment get too big. And I think that speaks volumes about the kid, and his confidence going to be abound as the season goes. I wish him luck until the end of November when he has to come here to Ann Arbor. But and my fumble, it was going to be Notre Dame's coaching staff. But I'm going to go a different coaching staff. I'm going to go Dabo Swinney's coaching staff. This was a huge game. And you're relying on a kicker that you just brought on the team 4 days prior to kick for your program. That doesn't speak very highly of your abilities to pick kids in the right positions. When you have to bring a kid in week 4 of the season that's never played college football, you bring him in. I just think it's a bad look. And it bit him in the ass because he missed a big kick, and the rest is history. Florida State goes on the win. So the Clemson coaching staff, special teams, just not having the right personnel to get the job done. So that's my fumble of this week.
We talked about their recruiting. You nailed it. Bama always gets 5-star kickers. Michigan does. This guy was at the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, it's just a bad look. So, all right, folks, you know what time it is.
It's time for Bet Your Nuts.
That's right. It's Super Bet Your Nuts. It's a bonus nut, ladies and gentlemen. As we've shown this college football season, we picked several games that we're going to bet on. Some have been a little bit better than the others, but oh well. I only room for improvement. So we're going to start this week. We're going to head out to the Pac-12. The aforementioned Utah Utes going into Corvallis of Oregon State. Oregon State's a 3-point favorite here. Raj, this is your home conference. We're going to start with you.
Utah, easy. You don't bet against Whittingham. Sorry, they play very similar styles. I think Rising will be back, but if not, literally mirror images with a better coach team in Utah, and to give them 3 is crazy to me.
Robbie.
I just don't know anymore. I think that I like Utah, and so I'm going to bet Utah, but people should bet Oregon State. But my pick is going to be Utah.
We did not do well.
No.
Brandon Shane, who do you like up there in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, I mean, Utah's one of the better teams in the country. Oregon State's good. They're not that good. You're giving me 3 points with Utah? Come on, all day, hammer this line.
Oh,
well, since you guys all went Utah, I need all the help I can get, ladies and gentlemen. Give me DJU to make a big splash and get the win. So I'm taking Oregon State in this one.
Oh,
moving on to.
All right, Tom, are you tracking this? Are you keeping track of this, or I don't have my note card in front of me?
Well, I can do that. So,
all right, we
Raj,
got
Robbie,
one for Oregon State,
Brandon, and me. So,
sorry guys, I'm just
Utah
worthless this week.
Utah. Brandon, we're going into Boulder. Colorado embarrassed last week. We talked about it earlier. Not looking very good this week against SC, coming into town with an 11 a.m. local time kick. Nothing says get up and get ready for that game like an 11 o'clock kick. But 21 and a half. Oh, it's 9 a.m. local time?
No, it's 9 a.m. for us, for SC.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Wait,
SC.
No, it's
SC.
10 a.m.
Yeah, it's
SC,
10 a.m. 10 a.m.
10 a.m. local. Yeah,
it's
that's
noon Eastern.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yep.
It's like fucking COVID time, dude.
That's ridiculous. USC 21 and a half favorites. Brandon, who do you got?
Oh man, I had tickets to this game. I was telling you guys, and I couldn't make it work. My wife's in the Bahamas for her birthday, and she doesn't get back. The flights just didn't work out.
Can't hide money.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to make it to Boulder, which would have been a sweet, sweet game to go to. No heart in the game, just to go watch good football. 21 and a half. That's a lot. But you got the Heisman front runner in USC and Caleb Williams, and Colorado's going to get another little slap in the face a little bit here. And I'm sorry, this is the gauntlet we talked about after week 1. This is what they're going to face. And I think 21 and a half is easily covered. And Prime's a great coach. Like I said, no slack on him. It's going to take a few years to recruit depth and compete with these teams.
Yep. Robbie, what do you got in this one?
So now I'm a USC fan because I want Caleb Williams to be healthy throughout the season so he can be a Titan next year. So I am yes. So I am rooting for both the Titans to lose every game now and USC to win every game. And so I think
the irony with Josh Dobbs being Arizona.
You just muted yourself, Robbie.
He has no idea what's going on.
You're on fire, dude. You muted yourself. No, his headphones died.
You
don't know how to work headphones?
Yeah, you're
Mine did that earlier, so I had to pull out too.
All right. Raj, I have a feeling I know where you're going on this one.
Actually, you probably don't. By the way, my boy Deech with the Dodgers sent me the bobblehead I wanted, Caleb Williams. He threw out the first pitch.
future Titan.
But the irony.
Can your boy get you another one to send to the speakeasy?
Dude, this was actually not as hard to get as what's funny as far as I know is he's only the third person not a Dodger. The first was Kobe Bryant that got a bobblehead, then LeBron James, and now Caleb Williams. He's got a Dodger hat on. Also sent a signed Fernando Valenzuela program for my little one and a JD Martinez bobblehead, ironically enough. So it's pretty cool. I think we're going to be out there for the NLDS, so we'll see. But I think Colorado they're coming home, and Oregon had a great defensive game plan, and Dan Lanning is exponentially better than that dildo Alex Grinch. SC won 42-28. They dropped 3 spots in the polls, but if you looked at Arizona State's touchdowns, they were all kind of like Tennessee versus Florida. Like just big plays, missed tackles that should not have happened. And that's a concern. I know they're without Hunter. I know they can't run the ball as much, but I think they're going to come out fast-paced, going to throw everything. This is their game of the year. And I expect USC to win, but I think it's going to be 42-28 type. So I will take Colorado
to cover. I like USC. I think they cover here. And we'll stick with you, Raj, for the Kansas Jayhawks going into Austin to face my number 1 team in the country, Texas. Texas is giving them 17.5. Who do you like in this one?
2 words, Jalen Daniels. 3 words, baby.
So you're going Jayhawks?
Jayhawks.
To cover?
To cover.
Robbie.
But I would not be shocked if they won this game.
You just took the words out of my mouth. Not only give me Kansas to cover, give me Kansas to win. Because Tom has them as his best team in the country, and that's ridiculous.
Brandon Chain.
Yeah, this makes me sad that Robbie just picked the same damn team that I'm picking. So I've got Kansas to cover, not win, but I've got them to cover. I think Texas probably wins by like 3. I mean, I think it's going to be a close game.
Again, I need all the help I can get, folks.
Well, they're your number 1. This is a shocker.
Yeah.
Are you being different just to be different?
Tom's in desperation mode.
I'm up to here in the ground right now.
How's that lone wolf thing worked out for you?
Yeah, it's
not so good. Not so good. We're heading to Lane Kiffinville, where Coach, who loves her family, is going in. 2.5-point favorite going on. Brandon, who do you like in this game?
I like Ole Miss to bounce back right here after this, little spanking by Big Brother that Lane Kiffin took. I think they bounce back. Although LSU's been playing well, Ole Miss is a good team. So it's in the Grove. I mean, come on. That's a tough place to play. So,
Robbie Davis.
I think at this point, Lane Kiffin is who we thought he was. He's not like this savior or a good coach or anything. Like, he's just mediocre at life. And I think Brian Kelly's a little more mediocre than Lane is. And so give me the more mediocre coach of these SEC West teams. So I'll take LSU.
All right. Raj, which mediocre coach do you prefer in this match?
Up until last week when I don't know how good Arkansas is, but I like the LSU defense. Thought they had a few bad breaks against Florida State, and I would have taken them all day against former SC quarterback Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. But they didn't look that great. However, I will still take them against an Ole Miss team because I don't believe in Lane Kiffin being able to – great coaches have their teams respond. when under the pressure, when they need to the most. And Lane Kiffin definitely is not that. And I don't think Jackson Dart is that quarterback. And I will take LSU, even though Brian Kelly is a supreme douche. I think they've just got, enough speed on defense and enough on offense to make that Ole Miss team guess a lot.
And I will take Ole Miss as well. I should say not as well. I'll agree with Brandon here. I think they recover. Lane Kiffin seems to win games when he should have won it the week prior. We'll just say that. Last week was his opportunity, and he fumbled. He could have been my fumble for the week, but give me Ole Miss. Here's the sneaky game of the weekend, in my opinion. Notre Dame coming off a really bad home loss, like we beat the dead horse over, going against a Duke team that has been really good this year. This number really surprises me. Notre Dame giving 5.5. I'm a little surprised with this one. Raj, what's your take on this game?
Notre Dame by a touchdown. I think they were kind of shell-shocked. That's a bad word, but under the pressure at home and whatnot, and I think they're going to come out and they've learned a bit of a lesson. Hopefully they have 11 guys on the field on offense and defense throughout the game. But I think Duke's beat a Clemson team in the first game of the year with a little bit of emotion and hype. And I think Notre Dame is going to respond. Now, that being said, is this a night game? Not that it matters a ton, but just weird stuff happens at night. I forgot if it was a night game or not. 7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I'll still take Notre Dame. I think they respond. They're a good team.
Robbie.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have looked at Notre Dame's schedule or if you've seen who they're going to play. I think they're going to lose 4 games, and this is one of them. And so, yes, I think they lose this game. So give me Duke in this game. It's Duke's one time to shine on this stage, and I just don't think Notre Dame's very good.
Brandon.
Give me Notre Dame here. I think they win by 10. I think, the Duke Clemson deal or whatever in the beginning, that was a lot of hype. Duke's kind of been ho-hum after that, not so good. I think they respond. I think Marcus Freeman learns from his mistakes. Hopefully they get 11 players on the field at all times and they can take this game. But I think Sam Hartman has a little more composure in this game, a little more confidence.
Brandon just wants Ohio State to have a good win. That's all he wants.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, dude, I thought we were going to lose against Notre Dame. Trust me.
I agree. I like Notre Dame here. I think this game's close till about maybe the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter, and Notre Dame's maybe depth comes into play and experience with Hartman. So give me Notre Dame to win this game. The redemption game, like we spoke of earlier, the Cox, specifically the Gamecocks, heading into Knoxville. Folks, they're bringing out the black uniforms again, like they need that to inspire. What did you say a little bit ago, Raj, about changing uniforms? Maybe that represents something. Brandon,
save it for Georgia.
Brandon, who do you like in this matchup?
Oh my God, this is one I'm so torn on. So Vegas is begging you to take South Carolina here.
Yep.
God, Joe Milton looks just so awful. But I'm gonna take Tennessee here. I don't know why. I think just because I think Vegas is begging you to take South Carolina.
I'll come to you last, Robbie. Raj, who do you like?
Robbie, agree or disagree? the Tennessee secondary has been much better than we expected.
Yes.
And if those that don't know, I mean, they have, UTSA didn't have Frank Harris, but they have limited guys throughout. I mean, Graham Mertz had 160 yards and was short passing, but it's just so hard to know because Virginia, Austin P are just dump off guys. Mertz can't throw, and UTSA had a backup. So this is a toss-up to me. I think Tennessee wins the game. I talked myself into a change because I believe, based on the 4 teams they played and the 4 quarterbacks, that Rattler can do enough downfield to cover. But I will take Tennessee to win by a late field goal.
I agree. I agree with this one. With you, Raj. I think Rattler has the ability. He looked pretty decent against Georgia. Georgia's, I think, strength came out in the end, which caused them to win that game. But Tennessee's going to win, but I think it's within 10. So give me South Carolina to cover. Robbie, I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah, so this is a night game in Neyland. Cooper Mays is coming back. This is gonna be the first home game the students have had all year long. It's gonna be rowdy.
What about last year? Sorry to interrupt, but there's got to be some revenge factor.
Yeah, South Carolina won't be able to hear. It's going to be a lot of South Carolina offense on the field. This is I wouldn't say a staple win because it's not going to be that big of a deal until you beat Alabama and Georgia. Tennessee covers easily. This South Carolina cannot move the ball in Neyland Stadium.
Okay.
And it's a night game.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
And our final pick for the week, the Bulldogs going into Auburn. Let's face it, guys. Georgia has not looked like the Georgia that we've seen the past 2 years. Is it inexperience at the quarterback position? I mean, it seems to be that might be the case. Their defense looks pretty strong. So 14.5 point favorite going into Auburn. Raj, who do you like in this one?
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is Vegas up to? Auburn, Peyton Thorne threw for 44 yards last week, and he was a starting quarterback. They got smoked by a shitty A&M team, 27-10. You can't run on Georgia. You can't throw on Georgia. What the fuck is happening? 14.5? I thought it was 44.5. And I'm still having issues from the weekend, but oh my God, mortgage on Georgia.
Yeah. Robbie.
Yeah, what he said. I mean, I don't think this is a great Georgia team. I mean, well, it's a less great Georgia team than the teams of the past, but Auburn's not good at all. And I get it's at Jordan Hare, but it's like still it's still Georgia who has recruited way better than Auburn has, and they have way better players, and give me Georgia.
Brandon, I have a feeling you're going to follow suit.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Auburn was playing football this season.
Damn.
It's been bad. And my brother-in-law is a huge Auburn fan, so sorry to him, but they're just atrocious. Like 14.5, really? Like to your
Something's up, dude.
Raj,
Something's up.
Like what is going on here? This feels like a trap somehow. But I'm gonna take Georgia anyway, and I would, I mean, if Auburn covers 14.5, we got to reassess our.
Give them the People's Championship like they claimed in 2004.
I will go Georgia as well. for the simple reason Peyton Thorne, who used to play at Michigan State the previous couple years, who in the COVID season, he looked okay. But after that, not so much. He transfers to Auburn. Last week was an example why he wasn't getting it done at Michigan State. So give me Georgia to win that game. Maybe 3 touchdowns, maybe 17. Again, their offense has not been impressive. They've been squeaking by the past couple weeks. So, but their defense will keep them in a position to get some scores in to get the win.
And quick shout out to Stetson Bennett, the third or fourth, wherever he is. Hopefully he gets himself some help. I know he left the team and for alcohol problems. So hopefully he gets himself some help. As
we saw that coming.
Being in LA, if you have an alcohol addiction, that's a tough pill or shot to swallow.
Yeah. That's why I moved.
You wonder how much they hit
to Tennessee.
Yep. All right, fellas, we're moving on to our final segment. Final words. Brandon, final words for this evening.
Oh, man. What a stressful weekend I went through watching damn Buckeyes come down to the final second. I turned like 3 shades grayer. It was a good game, good resiliency, good poise. McCord, I didn't think had it in him, and it really gave me hope for this season moving forward. You know, this college game is survive and advance and get better as you do it. And I think we got a shot. You know, we've got a lot of good skilled position players. If we can just somehow put it together, I think we got a good shot this year. Yeah, I mean, and to Robbie's point earlier, there's no overwhelmingly great standout like this team's going to win it all team this year. So I think Pac-12 is the strongest conference by far, and this is their last year too, which is kind of ironic. So Pac-12 of them. So
like 10,000 spoons, all he needs a knife.
I'm just looking forward to a really good football college season the rest of this year, and man, anxious to see how it plays out.
Robbie Davis, what are your final thoughts for this tonight?
So, you know, you like to think of yourself as a good person, and you try to do the right things the right times. And I do that most of the times. But this weekend, I beat a man so badly on his birthday weekend that it is a shame to say. So Kirk Cousins. Wait. Let me read my lineup. Let me just tell you. So Kirk Cousins, ETN, Ford, Devontae Smith, Lockett, Kelsey, Michael Thomas, the Chiefs, and Michael Gay. They beat the birthday boy so badly that it just wasn't even funny. Tom, I am 2-1. I'm feeling good about the playoffs. Thoughts and prayers are looking good. So my final thoughts are pretty optimistic about my fantasy football team.
Okay. I on the fantasy football front, I played Rich this past week. I lost by a half a point. I put up 171 points, and I lost.
I lost a championship by half a point. I think it was to Blake, by the way. Championship, like $2,000.
Raj, what's your final words tonight?
My final words are exactly what I said about USC last year when it comes to Colorado. That you can get skill position, you can get highlights, you can get guys with speed in 1 year. What you can't get is depth. What you can't get is extreme talent on the offensive and defensive line. What you really, 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 really can't get is offensive and defensive line depth. And we saw that with Colorado. They were head spinning. They had no idea what's happening. Can you still hear me?
Yep. Keep going.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
interesting.
on my iPhone now. I'm going Randall, so it got low battery on me. But it was you just can't do that in 1 year. Now 2 years, if he's still around, 3 years, if Norvell chokes, Deion's gone in my opinion. But in 1 year, you saw what we've been saying the entire time. You can't change a program in 1 year.
Right. Yep. And my final words this week are shame on you, Fox Sports. And what I mean by this is you put an absolute clown show on your highly rated college football Big Noon Sunday. And I'm talking about Clay Travis. This guy is the dustbin of society. He's nothing more than a conspiracy theorist. And I don't want to get political, but if you ever look at his Twitter account, it's disgusting. And the fact that Fox Sports, ironically enough, has nothing to do with Rupert Murdoch. He does not have control of that. But they put this guy out there on their program. It really kind of represents everything that's wrong. I will read his tweet he said about Travis Kelce, and it's shocking that they allow this nonsense to be on their program. Travis Kelce is doing Bud Light and COVID shot commercials. He needs to fire all his marketing agents, or he needs to just go ahead and cut his dick off, become a chick, and endorse Joe Biden. What part of that belongs in sports? None of it. And Fox Sports, shame on you for giving him a platform, allowing that nonsense to be representing essentially what you believe in. And if I'm some of those co-hosts, I look at that Twitter account and I hold him accountable. And I don't know why they haven't. And it's the number one reason why ESPN will and always will be the choice for me and many others in their college pregame with the game day. So I'm appalled that it's such a highly watched program chooses to put somebody like that on their platform. And it's a shame. And I had to get it off my chest, and I figured this was a good opportunity to do it.
Hey, Tom, that's
Rob. We can wax on this idiot forever.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I even know that's well said. And I think to be employed, even though Fox Sports isn't part of Fox News, they have to be vaccinated too. So he is vaccinated. Like he's such a clown show.
Yep.
Let me end this show with this, and trust me, to quote the great. No, not great. Dan Lanning. When you put Clay Travis on, they're fighting for clicks.
Yeah.
We're fighting.
Oh, he's such a clown show.
I agree. I like that. So great show. Glad you guys were able to make it. Raj, Indian time is something we have to get used to. And Robbie, glad you could make some time to carve into your vacation and be a part of. Definitely a reminder, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps us out. And check out tomorrow. Our NFL show will be dropping tomorrow night before the big Lions-Packers Thursday night game. So look forward to that. For Robbie Davis, Brandon Chain, Raj Mehta, I am Tom Sloan. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube searching Reckless Speculation. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right here next week with another exciting episode of Reckless